They say it began on a night when the wind forgot to move. The stars hung in place like cold watchers, and then, without warning, the heavens split apart. The air cracked, the light came, and the sky turned to fire. Those who lived through that night never spoke of it in the same way. Some said the sun had fallen. Others swore the gods had opened the roof of the world to punish them. But all agreed on one thing: the air burned in their lungs, and the earth trembled like a frightened beast. The first to see it were hunters far from the caves.
We must hurry.
The fire spreads.
They stood frozen as a red wave rolled across the clouds, lighting the forest in shades they had never seen. The smell of ash swallowed the scent of the trees, and somewhere in the distance a sound rose low at first, like stone grinding against stone. Then louder, until it was a roar that made their bones vibrate. They ran. Branches clawed at their faces. The ground shifted beneath their feet. Sparks rained down from above, as if the stars themselves were falling. One man carried a child on his back. Another clutched a bundle of tools, like they were his only protection. The fire was not yet upon them, but it was close enough that every breath tasted of death. When they reached the caves, the elders did not ask questions. They pulled them inside, dragged heavy stones across the entrance, and told everyone to keep silent. The fire's light leaked through the cracks, painting the walls with shadows that seemed to move on their own. Children pressed their faces into their mothers' arms. Warriors gripped their spears and listened to the forest die. That was the night of the first generation, the witnesses. Those who had seen the burning sky with their own eyes and carried the smell of it in their hair until the day they died. They spoke little, but when they did, their voices shook. The second generation, the carriers of fear, never saw the fire, but they heard the story so many times it lived inside them. They grew up under rules carved from the memory of that night. Never stray far from the caves. Always keep water ready, and if the sky glows red, run. By the third generation, the story had changed. It was no longer a memory, it was a prophecy. The elders told it at the start of every winter. They gathered the tribe under the flicker of the fire and spoke of the day the sky would burn again. They said it was the will of the gods, a test to see who was worthy to walk the earth. The people made offerings to the sky, hoping to keep the fire sleeping. But time erodes even the sharpest fear. By the fourth generation, the youngest began to whisper doubts. Some said the elders' tales were meant only to keep them obedient. Others laughed in the darkness, saying the sky could never burn. Yet, on the nights when the wind stilled and the air felt heavy, even the doubters found themselves staring upward, searching for that first flicker of red. One night, a boy who had never believed stood watch on the edge of the forest. The moon was hidden, the air was still, and then a shimmer. Faint at first, like the reflection of fire on water. His breath caught. The shimmer deepened, became a pulse, and in that heartbeat, he knew the story had been true all along. The generations that followed would not agree on what happened next. Some say the fire returned, but weaker, a warning rather than an ending. Others claim it was only the boy's fear, and that no flame touched the earth that night. But whichever story was told, the lesson remained. The sky can burn, and it will again. Even now, when storms roll in with a red sunset, when the air smells faintly of smoke, though no fire burns. They say you can feel it, the same weight, the same silence, the same breathless moment before the heavens split. And if you listen closely past the rustle of leaves and the hiss of wind, you might hear them, the voices of the witnesses, carried forward by the carriers of fear, retold by the believers, and challenged by the questioners. A chain unbroken for thousands of seasons. A story that began on a night when the stars refused to move, and the sky turned to fire. And so, the tale of the burning sky became more than a warning. It became the heartbeat of their people. Every birth, every hunt, every death was lived under its shadow. For some, it was a curse. For others, a promise. But all knew this. The fire would come again. And when it did, only those who remembered the fear would stand a chance to see the dawn.